Good day, everyone. For today, I'll be discussing the strategies for specific behavior challenges, behavior related to attention and activity. So here's the content of my lesson. First, we'll be talking about the inattentive behavior, the causes and incidents of inattentive behavior, and the interventions for inattentive behavior. Hyperactive behavior, the causes and the incidents of hyperactive behavior, and the interventions for hyperactive behavior. The impulsive behavior, the causes and incidents of impulsive behavior, and also the interventions for impulsive behavior. And the last is the stereotypical behavior, the causes and antecedents of neurotypical behavior, and also the intervention for stereotypical behavior. So first, we were talking about the inattentive behavior. So inattentive behavior, as attention has been defined as the ability to remain oriented to task for the length of time required to complete the task or an amount of the time that seems socially acceptable. So here is that Mike B. William Silva, 1985, identified the three behavior dimensions associated with attention. So it's the planning, organizations, and executions of the task or activities. So poor planning in children with attention deficiency is also linked to poor performance on cognitive tasks. The parents and teacher often describe these students as having trouble starting on or finishing things and be easily distracted. So these students may become off task at even the slightest noise. For example, someone's constantly shouting on the floor or changing in the environment. For example, if someone's coming to the door of the classroom to talk to the teacher. So these students often have trouble getting back on task once they have been distracted. So as a result, they may have difficulty completing academic tasks, possibly resulting in poor academic achievement. Common causes of antecedents of inattentive behavior. First is genetics. So many researchers state that attention deficiencies and related to behavior are genetic. It's according to Johnson, Macri, and O'Connor 2005. For example, Civic Correct 2004 states that ADHD is a primary a genetic disorder related to the functions of neurotransmitter in the brain that causes a student to have attention disability. The many researchers questions this simplistic explanation, considering the complexity of the behavior and the interactions of genetics and the environmental influences, especially given other independent variables such as the quality of the child's environment and the parental influences. So, but even if attention deficiency add a genetic etiology, this explanation does not help the teachers to develop the intervention strategies and suggests that there is nothing a teacher can do to improve the student's behavior. So we believe that the most experienced teacher will reject these propositions based on their own experiences in changing behavior. Learn to be attentive. So teacher frequently talk about the students if they sit and listen. So these students have not learned how to sit and listen, typically taught at home, starting at young age. So when parents have their children sit and listen to them read a story, but many students do not have this early childhood experience and come to school without these important school readiness skills. So these students must be taught these skills at school, hopefully at the preschool or kindergarten level. So those students should not be evaluated for having an attention deficient disorder before the teacher is sure that the student simply has a school readiness deficiency. So let's talk about the interventions for inattentive behavior. First is to learning to be attentive to teacher. So here first is teach attentive behavior. So for young students, full readiness, including skills, must be taught. The practice sitting and listening and the reinforcement of on-task behavior for increasing in the interval of time as an effective way to teach young children on how to be attentive. So this training should start at home, of course. But for many students, the skills are not learned at home and must be taught at preschool and kindergarten settings. So here, RuPaul Stoner, Kelly, and Goodman, 1991, offered some guidance for developing behavior change interventions to assist students to increase attention skills. First is the functional assessment should be used to assess the problem behavior. The student should receive more frequent and specific feedback for attempted behavior. Both positive and negative consequences should be incorporated into behavior management program. The tasks should be broken down into specific instructions and delivered to the students a few steps at a time. The focus of behavior change progress should be based on the concrete results of an appropriate behavior rather than on a specific task-related behavior. Preferred activity should be used as reinforcer rather than a tangible reward such as candy. Offering students with discussion of privilege that can be earned prior to the assignment of academic tasks will increase task completion. Next is teach self-instructions and monitoring skills. So self-instructions and self-monitoring strategies have been effective in increasing attentive behavior. Thus, during the self-instructions program, the students receive a prompt, usually a recorded tone throughout the class. So each time they hear the prompt, the students would ask themselves whether they were paying attention and completing their task. So David and Hijack 1985 employed the self-instructional verbalizations that had the students remind him or herself to pay attention or do your work after a recorded tone was sounded every 60 seconds. So this strategy helped the students significantly improve their attending and accuracy rate on academic tasks. So let's now talk about the hyperactive behavior. So according to Taylor, Burns, Murphy, and Foster 2006, hyperactivity refers to the behavior that includes fidgeting out at seat behavior, running about, limited ability to play quietly, talking too much, excessive physical activity, blurting out answers, limited ability to wait there, and interrupting behavior. While most of this behavior are expected of young students in many environmental contexts, this same behavior in excess may prove troublesome within the home, school, community, and environment, or community environments. So in severe cases, childhood hyperactivity has been found to be a risk indicator for development of antisocial behavior in the household. So here are the common causes and antecedents of hyperactive. The first is the multiple factors. So there is no one cause of hyperactivity, though a number of theories have been suggested: brain damage, biological factors, food additives, difficult temperament, and psychoanalytic factors have been proposed an explanation for hyperactivity without sufficient scientific research to conclude that any of them alone or in combination is a cause of our hyperactivity. So other explanations for hyperactive behavior revolve around the theories of modeling, imitations, and environmental interactions. So clearly, the most visible explanation for hyperactive behavior is that it caused by the combinations of factors, including learned behavior. So there is a significant overlap of antecedents as a risk factor of destructive behavior, hyperactive activity, attention problems, and possibility conduct problems, and the most other challenging behavior. So next is the environmental factors. So here is an environmental factors. Um, Khan states that the hyperactive behavior is caused by environmental factors such as classroom dynamic or a family dynamics. So further reports that some family patterns often accompanied by hyperactivity. So these patterns are described in terms of mental health issues among the family members. So a heavy emphasis on the cognitive and authoritative approaches to behavior management and parental problems between the student's parents. So Harden in 1997 suggests that the students who demonstrate hyperactivity when in a boring, non-stimulating situations can be helped to engage in more appropriate behavior with interventions such as restricting television watching and establishing family routines, for example, meal times and bedtimes. The parent-student interactions, according to David and Friedrich, 1989, studied that the role of mother-child communication pattern in the development of hyperactive conductive behavior. It also says that it's very important. Interventions for hyperactivity. So a number of effective strategies are available for decreasing hyperactivity, but few studies are available uh, that focus solely for hyperactivity. So most of the research focuses on hyperactivity combined with the inattentions and impulsivity and construct of attention deficiency. So here are the most popular of these interventions include the persistence of reinforcement consequences, social skills training, and the cognitive behavior management. The first is to teach appropriate social skills. So students who are hyperactive will respond best in a setting where the rules for behavior have been clearly established. So in addition, the rules must be consistently enforced, and the students should be reinforced for following the rules. So the students with hyperactivity are more successful in structured classroom where the rules are always consistently enforced. So next, students with hyperactivity also are responsible in educational programs that include in positive reinforcement. So students who are positively reinforced using the praise and token for appropriate behavior, example speaking in a seat, asking permission, or following rules, are more likely to engage in a behavior incompatible with hyperactivity. So training in social skills using statutory approach is also important in uh, helping the children with hyperactivity behavior. Impulsive behavior. So, Campbell and Ferry 1986 defined the impulsivity as the erratic and poorly controlled behavior. Teachers are referred to students as being impulsive, usually conjure up images of students who really stop to think before they act, who attempt tasks before they fully understand the direction, who often demonstrate remorse when their actions have led to errors or mishaps, who calls out frequently in class, usually the wrong answer, and who have been difficulty organizing their materials. So in Tillman and modern 2009 stated that while impulsive behavior may be normal in the young students, as the students grow older, mostly alternative responses, Olson's Abates and Files in 1999 point out that the 2-year-old students will begin to inhibit prohibited actions only to remember information, but state that the self-regulation does not develop until the third of the fourth year of life. So Dave Cremont and Van der Linden, 2005, identified the four dimensions of impulsivity. First is the urgency. The student is in a hurry. Next is lack of premeditation. Students act before eating or plans. Next is lack of perseverance. Students give up on a task. And last is the sensation seeking. So students seeking for fun without thinking of the consequences. So they also found out that among the impulsive children, boys had the higher score for sensation seeking and girls for agency. Assessment of impulsivity usually involves the use of behavioral checklists, behavioral ratings, match the sample task, and behavioral observation. Common causes and antecedents for impulsive behavior. So multiple factors as is the case for many attentions and activity behavior, no one actually knows what causes impulsivity. So impulsivity is most likely related to the same multiple factors discussed in the prior sections on the attentiveness and hyperactivity, including childhood temperament, family environment, and gender and parental characteristics. So failure to self-monitor at Sharif and Flashball 1990 conduct a study with 378 students between 9 to 12 years of age to determine the impact of attention to error on the academic task and the relationship to reflective and impulsive behavior. So Shafri and Pascal administer as students a number of measures, including a maze and a match to sample task to determine the response behavior. And tests of academic achievements evaluate arithmetic abilities. So they report that the students who complete the task quickly and accurately tend to take time to check their answer. So if the error occurred, it took time to correct the error and use the information learned and corrections of the error to assist them in completing the rest of the task. So this resulted in a fewer errors overall completions of the task in a more likely timely fashion. So they called this students most failure reflective. So in comparison, students who are referred to as post failure impulsive, so were found to complete the task fully and accurately. So these students flowed through the task without checking the answer for correctness. They simply went on the next problem with no reference to the previously completed task. So Sharir and Pasquale conclude that the lack of post-failure reflections by this group led to the more errors because they did not learn from their previous errors. Parent-child interaction. So Olsen and his colleague in 1990 attempt to assess the parent-child interaction through behavioral observations to determine if the parent interaction style was the predicator of impulsive behavior. Interventions for impulsive behavior. First is the teach waiting self-control. So here is the teach waiting and self-control. Impulsivity may be decreased by teaching students appropriate waiting behavior and by the enforcement plan for appropriate responding behavior. For example, after an advisement as being given, a teacher may teach a student to place their hand on their desk, establish an eye contact, with teachers and listen for directions. So the teacher should praise the students for demonstrating this waiting behavior. Students who manifest impulsive behavior will benefit from the training in social skills such as self-control. At the same time, students may be taught relaxation techniques. The reinforcement will also increase the possibility that the students will demonstrate a behavior that are alternative to impulsivity. So the students should describe the learned social skills to the direct instructions and reinforcement for use of the skills to replace the impulsive behavior. So, the study of Stahl in 1990 found that for intervention, targeting behavior to be positive and incompatible with the undesirable behavior was effective with students who demonstrate impulsive behavior. So it also, Bornas and Severa and Lauber in 1997 described the several software products that are effective in preventing impulsivity through instruction in a problem solving and a self-regulation. So next is the give smaller, shorter tasks one at a time. So the students will create through an assignments without stopping to read the direction or check for errors will be given a smaller amount of the task to complete to accomplish at a plan at a time. So rather than the whole task at once. So this will give the students a smaller chunk of the problem to deal with and more opportunities for reinforcement since the students will be more likely to solve the problem correctly. Next is the stereotypical behavior. Stereotypical behavior is the students who exhibit the stereotypical behavior typically engage in repetitious and variant responses that occur at an excessively high rate and do not appear to have any adaptive function. So like temper tantrums. However, stereotypic behavior seems to serve the function of getting the attention of others. In fact, individuals who engage in stereotypic behavior provide the earliest clues to understanding the function of behavior, including attention, escape, tangible reinforcement, and sensory reinforcement. The self-segmentary behavior. The self-segmentary behavior are the stereotypic behavior that are repetitive and frequent but do not cause physical injury to the students exhibiting them. So this behavior often includes the body rocking, hand clapping, eye rubbing, lip blinking, or repeating the same vocalizations over and over. So self-explanatory behavior are not always intrusive behavior for the students or other around them, but they may become self-injurious and may interfere with the student's educational program. So common causes of antecedent for self-injurious behavior. Belfour and Datilio 1990 proposed the explanation for the onset, maintenance, and continuance of self-injury. So first is SIV is learned behavior that is maintained by inferring contingency of either the positive reinforcement paradigm or the negative reinforcement paradigm. SIV is elicited and attempt to increase and decrease the sensory simulation or a laptop. SID is related to genetic anomalies or biochemical imbalances such as the Leigh syndrome or the Cornelia-Williams syndrome. Okay, next, Durand and Carr Durrell and Carr in 1985 outlined the first function of SIV. First is a social attention. So IV appears to be shaped and maintain the attention from others as a consequence. Tangible consequences. Some students exhibit SIV in order to gain access to tangible rewards such as playing with a desired toy. Escape from adverse situations. Students who engage in SIV in order to remove themselves from an unpleasant task, for example, an academic task, are said to be motivated by escape. Sensory simulation, so this manifests in the form of auditory, visuals, or tactile simulation which reinforces to the feeling. So intervention for stereotypic behavior. So off of the challenging behavior described in these lessons, stereotypic behavior has been described more often in the literature as being responsive to behavior interventions. So here is the social skills trainings and the functional communication training are recommended by Durant and Carr and Hastings and Noon to teach the skills that replace the social or communications functions of the self-injurious behavior. So for example, Duran and Carr suggested that if the SID is maintained the social attentions, the teacher should teach the students appropriate attention-seeking behavior. Students have been taught to ask whether they are doing good work and other appropriate phrases for gaining teacher attention. So students who are nonverbal have been taught to use sign language or point to the picture card that is alternative to verbal communication. So that's all my topic for today, and thank you for listening.